Hello and welcome to the Official Watchers YouTube channel. Here at Jardin du Mayfair, heaven on earth for the watch enthusiast, I have something that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. It's none other than the Rolex GMT-Master 2 Sprite, the 126720 VTNR. Guys, before we delve into the review, just a very quick note to say that up to 90% of my viewers aren't subscribed. Please do hit that subscribe button so I can keep these videos coming fresh and hot every week. Okay guys, I'm just going to come out and say it. This is partly a review, but partly to also ask my viewers if you can kindly stick on your therapist cardigans and help settle an office debate. This, of course, is the GMT-Master 2 Sprite. Quick specs first. First released in 2022, it's 40mm in diameter with a super case. It's 12mm thick, lug-to-lug width of 48.5mm, and it has a 20mm bracelet, same as the Pepsi and the BLNR Batman. 904L stainless steel case and bracelet, corrosion resistant unidirectional 24-hour bezel which runs on ceramic bearings, and it has 100 meters of water resistance. A lot of boxes ticked there. In short, this is the same size and offers all the same treats as the rest of the steel GMT range, with one notable exception. It's designed for people like me to be worn on the right wrist. The crown is now on the left, and the cyclops and the date are also on the other side. So rather than the traditional right, everything has moved across. This is so the watch can be worn by left-handed people on the right wrist, and the crown is accessible without the need to remove it from the wrist. So of course, I absolutely love it. I am a right-hand wearer, so it makes a refreshing change, and let's face it, it's nice to be considered every once in a while by watchmakers. The black and the green bezel is completely new for this model and reminds me of a Submariner hybrid, more subtle than the blue and red of the Pepsi, but it's a new take on an old theme, and it works for me. The bracelet on this one is a Jubilee, and even though I do love an oyster, the Jubilee has a special place in the GMT family. It disappeared for an option for a while post 16710, but was returned to its rightful place within the collection in 2018. This is a Super Jubilee, which is completely solid linked, so infinitely sturdier than the Jubilee bracelets of old, which were prone to getting a little stretchy over the years. The modern Jubilee is superb in its comfort and venting abilities, and it has smaller links with more separation between them, so the bracelets both drape like silk over the wrist, as well as offering great air circulation to the point that you can forget it's on your wrist, which in my opinion is the sign of a top-notch bracelet. The movement is caliber 3285, it's the same as its stablemates and is rated to -2 + 2 seconds per day and gives a 70-hour power reserve on a full wind. A quirk with this model is that in order to wind, if you do so with the right hand, you'll need to flip the Sprite upside down so that the crown is to the right and roll clockwise to wind, in the same way that you would wind a standard watch. Or you could go for the full lefty experience and hold it in the right hand and wind it in an anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so before we crack into the rest of the review, let's have a little fondle of it, because I think that this is a really cool watch. It also happens to be a brand new one, which is always nice. So at first, even for me, someone who does wear the watch on the right, it does look completely wrong. If you've looked and worn Rolexes your whole life, and then you put this on, it feels like looking in a mirror that's backwards. But I quite like that about this watch because I think it's different, and different is good, especially when it comes to Rolex, where a lot of the watches can start looking a bit samey. We were really lucky to start getting colour on these GMT Masters. I think that really switched it up. So 116710LN, you will always be in my heart. It was actually the first Rolex I ever bought, and I love that watch. But once they started adding dashes of colour to these things, they took on another beast of their own. And again, the Jubilee, I will say it, I think it is best on the GMT-Master purely because it's a nod to the original 16710s and 167.5s when you saw those beautiful pictures of pilots wearing the really saggy bracelet ones and using them for what they were purposely supposed to be used for, and I think that is so cool. So yeah, it would be the Super Jubilee for me, which when I first saw photos, I was an Oyster fan through and through. So all in all, this is a perfect sports watch for me and people like me. The size and displacement of weight over my wrist is spot on. It's a wear and forget it type of watch. The green and black colour theme really appeals, as I've had decades to get used to seeing Pepsi and Coke bezels over and over. So this one, it definitely has a novelty factor, and I don't think I'd tire of it. I do like to say that I travel a lot, and I find the GMT complication genuinely useful. Plus, speaking to clients all over the world, it's great to be able to track time zones. So as well as the water resistance, this also means there is no circumstance beyond full diving that I need to take the watch off. It's a do-it-all, go anywhere companion piece, and as a right wrist wearer, it's the perfect layout for me. Plus, you really don't see many of them around. In a sea of subs and GMTs, you don't see many Sprites. It's a superb one watch solution, and I myself am in the 10 out of 10 camp on this watch. As I said earlier though, the Sprite is definitely a subject of debate in the office because as well as filming, buying, selling and living watches, we also love to argue about them. So now I'm going to present an alternative opinion, and as I said at the outset, I'm going to leave it to you guys to pick a team. So my colleague Agent M has prepared a statement. She, like me, is a lifelong righty wearer and has always been annoyingly smug to have never suffered from crown dig or any associated discomfort that comes from wearing a watch on the left wrist with the crown free to poke into the back of her hand. So more to the point, she said she's never had a crown callus, and she spent many years looking at wrist shots, so she would have spotted them in her time. She's a big collector. So she says that when she's worn dedicated destro watches from other brands, they have actually driven her round the bend because she can feel that the crown actually digs into her wrist on that side. She said she doesn't need to wear a watch with the crown on that side because she's not a member of a SWAT team, so why would you need to change it on the fly? So therefore, in her humble opinion, while the Sprite has undoubted appeal because it's definitely going to be more comfortable for a right-hander, she said she felt that it actually pokes into the hand every time she's wearing it. So I would absolutely advocate coming over to the dark side of watch wearing, and due to its design, the Sprite would be a perfect wearer for the left wrist. Can you guys let us know in the comments, have you had any experiences with the Sprite? For example, if you do wear the watch on your left, have you put a Sprite on and felt that it was totally wrong? I want to hear from you guys on this. You are going to settle our arguments in the comments, I hope, and I love seeing everything that you guys say. So let me know if you're a fan of the Sprite. Let me know whether it talks to you or it's just too weird to look at and you couldn't wear it on your wrist. So getting on to the meat and potatoes of this piece, it is £16,250 and in true official watches fashion, it's brand new, and just for you guys, I actually unwrapped it this morning. Guys, thank you so much for joining me here at Jardin du Mayfair. I love making these videos for you and they will keep coming fresh and hot every single week.